I remember as a child that we would come and visit my grandparents quite often. And when we would arrive, I would always have cousins there at their house. We would like to play out in the front yard. Well, out in the front yard, there was this old cistern. And I remember my cousins telling me about the entity that lived down in that old cistern by the name of Greasy Fanny. They told me that if I got too close to it, she would drag me in and take me with her. Now, I don't know if they told me this story trying to keep me safe where I wouldn't fall in, or if they were just trying to scare me. But that wasn't the first story that I had ever heard about Greasy Fanny. There was an old hag by the name of Greasy Fanny. She lived out in the woods in a hollowed cistern. At night, the old hag would wait until everyone was sleeping and would sneak into the house and take their children. Greasy Fanny would take the children back to her lair and put the children in an old black kettle and would cook them and make lard out of them. Hence how she got her name, Greasy Fanny. The people started worrying what was happening to their children, and they were missing. The townspeople decided to go looking for the missing kids. They started looking in the woods for the children and came upon a gruesome sight. Greasy Fanny had a big black kettle stirring, and some of the people glanced down into the pot and seen the remains of the children. Upset by this, the people grabbed a rope and slung it over an old oak tree and took Greasy Fanny and put the noose around her neck. They asked the old hag if there was anything that she would like to say before she met her maker. She told the people that if they didn't sacrifice a child every 10 years, she would come back and collect them herself. And with that statement, they hung the old hag. After her death, the townspeople tried to live as best as they could. The remaining children grew up and started having children of their own, forgetting about Greasy Fanny and what she had said. So after the 10 years were up without a sacrifice, the children started disappearing again. The townspeople remembered the old hag's vast promise, but there was no way they were going to spill any more of their children's blood. So with the help of the wise old woman who lived on the outskirts of town, she was known for her knowledge and ancient spells and protective charms. The townspeople gathered around her, explaining their plight, and begged for her assistance. The old woman listened carefully and nodded. "There is a way to break the curse," she said, "but it will require great courage and unity from all of you." She instructed the townspeople to gather herbs and ingredients from the forest and bring them to the old oak tree where Greasy Fanny had been hung. They were to perform a ritual under the light of the moon, chanting ancient incantations to banish the spirit of Greasy Fanny forever. As the full moon rose, the townspeople gathered at the oak tree, their hearts filled with hope and determination. They followed the wise woman's instructions, creating a circle around the tree and lighting candles made from herbs they had collected. The air was thick with tension as they began to chant the incantations. Suddenly, a chilling wind swept through the clearing, and the ghostly figure of Greasy Fanny appeared before them. Her eyes glowed with malevolence as she tried to break through the circle, but the townspeople held firm, their voice growing stronger with each chant. With a final powerful incantation, the wise woman raised her arms and called upon the spirit of the earth to banish Greasy Fanny once and for all. There was a flash of light, and the ghostly figure let out a piercing scream. before vanishing into the night. The townspeople stood in stunned silence, their hearts pounding. The curse had been broken, and their children were safe once more. They thanked the wise old woman for her help and vowed to never forget the lesson they had learned, that unity and courage could overcome even the darkest of curses. From that day on, the town lived in peace, and the story of Greasy Fanny became a tale passed down through the generations, reminding everyone of the power of community and the importance of standing together against evil.